had spent all day jumping up and down in anticipation for trick-or-treating. This was the first year his mother was agreeing to let him go, and he was nearly falling over himself with the excitement. At 6 years old, Bailey was a few years late to the Halloween party. For the past couple years in school, he was so jealous of the other kids getting to go out and have fun gathering candy for the night while he just sat at home with candy his parents bought for him. This year, he was being allowed to go out knocking on doors begging for candy. He'd been too late picking out a costume, and was stuck with a boring dog suit, but wasn't about to let that upset him. He consoled his mildly hurt ego with the thought that it was a very realistic costume with beautiful, long golden fur and brown glassy eyes that all closely resembled a golden retriever. At 4 p.m., Bailey's mother handed him a little orange pumpkin pail. "I'm going to be right with you the whole time, so don't try to run off," she said as she snapped pictures of him posing in his costume. "We're only going around the neighborhood, too. I don't want to be out late or go too far." Bailey nodded and agreed, not caring that it wasn't going to be a big trip. All he cared about was getting to go at all. As soon as his mother opened the door, he ran out into the darkening afternoon with all the enthusiasm a small boy could hold. The first few houses were everything he'd dreamed of. Older women and kids commenting how cute his costume was and giving him big handfuls of candy. His mother was lagging a little further behind now, having relaxed a bit. Her phone rang, distracting her further. "You can go up to the next house alone, but I'll be here on the sidewalk," his mother said to him before answering her call. Bailey swung open the little white gate excitedly, bounding his way up the little path leading to the door. He reached up to ring the doorbell. After a few moments, a man in his early 30s answered the door in a button-up shirt and slacks, looking more like he was going to a nice dinner than to pass out candy. "Happy Halloween," the man said, not looking at Bailey as he reached to the side for his candy bowl. He had a kind of wobbly look about him, and Bailey could smell something that reminded him of how mouthwash made his nose feel. Bailey didn't care about any of that, though. He held his pail eagerly, bouncing on the balls of his feet. "Trick or treat!" he proclaimed while hitting the button to make his costume bark. The man's face blanched immediately and twisted repulsively. He threw the bowl on the porch. His hand darted back inside the door, pulling back a hunting rifle that he leveled directly at Bailey. For a moment, Bailey was frozen. He wasn't sure if this was a Halloween trick. He opened his mouth to ask if the man was okay, and as soon as he began to speak, the man fired. Bailey's mother was a screaming, hysterical mess on the sidewalk as the paramedics carted the headless corpse of her son to the ambulance. The police were trying to get her husband by phone, or even find out where she lived, but she was inconsolable. While the paramedics began administering shock treatments to Bailey's mother, the police were trying to talk to the shooter. "It was a huge dog, right on my doorstep," the man, now identified as Adkin Lazarus, insisted. He refused to admit, or simply had no idea, that he had just murdered a 6-year-old boy on his front porch. "I'm serious. It was standing on its hind legs with some poor kid's Halloween bag in its teeth trying to jump at me." "Sir, there was no dog. You shot a little boy in a dog costume who came up to your door to trick or treat," one of the policemen reiterated for the 3rd time. Adkin became furious. He stood to his feet, making himself bigger in an intimidating way. "I'm telling you, it was just that woman's hostile dog, not a little boy. She was just standing out there on the sidewalk letting her mutt run around without a leash. It could have gone off and attacked any of the kids who were out here. If anything, someone should be thanking me for keeping their kids safe." Another police officer stepped up behind Adkin to cuff him. "Sir, you are under arrest for the murder of Bailey Perkins. You have the right to remain silent, and if you cannot afford an attorney, you will be appointed one by the court." It took both officers to haul the struggling Atkin to a waiting patrol car as he screamed that all he had killed was a rabid dog.